Hello and welcome to Bangladesh Today. We have with us Shahriar Kabir, noted Bangladeshi journalist, filmmaker, human rights activist and author of more than 70 books on communalism, fundamentalism and Bangladeshi war of independence. Thank you for speaking with us, Mr. Kabir. I'd like to begin by asking how successful has the War Crimes Tribunal been in dispensing these sentences in the past couple of months? Because, there's been a lot of pressure against the War Crimes Tribunal, both internationally and within, from political parties within Bangladesh itself.
People of Bangladesh, they have witnessed the massacre or the Holocaust of 1971. They have seen how the Jamaat Islami as a party joined, collaborated with Pakistani occupation army, and how they helped Pakistani army junta of Yahya Khan, that are mainly responsible for war crimes, crimes against humanity or genocide. So the memory is quite fresh, and everybody in Bangladesh, they know who created Razakar, Al-Badr, Al-Shams. These are the killing squad. It is the Jamaat Islami. They have organized this killing. They have organized the Razakars, Al-Badrs and Al-Shams to kill innocent people who are in favor of the liberation of Bangladesh, particularly the intellectual. They have created the list of the intellectuals, and they said they are killing a squad, and particularly the members of Al-Badr, and they picked the top intellectual of Bangladesh, and they were brutally assassinated in different killing fields. So the memory is very fresh, and people of Bangladesh, they know about Jamaati's atrocities during the war, and even recently, what they are doing opposing this trial of the war criminals, the atrocities we have seen on the street, the violence, the anarchy. So people of Bangladesh are totally fed up about Jamaat Islami, and that's why there is a cry to ban Jamaat Islami as a political party.
Is the support for the war crimes trials, has it been dwindling? Because it's the spearheading of this movement was by the Shahbag protesters. Now the protest has kind of dwindled down in the past couple of months. So will it have an impact on the war crimes trial in the next couple of months?
Well, you see, Shahbag is a kind of new kind of civil society uprising. We have seen Arab Spring in African countries. So Arab Spring was basically targeted against the regimes, the government. But here, it was not against the government. It was against the Jamaat Islamist politics and in favor of the trial of the war criminals. And they are demanding capital punishment for the perpetrators of genocide. And even everybody, any civilized people will say that capital punishment is the lowest, kind of punishment for the perpetrators of genocide who are responsible for killing 3 million people. So that is why, Shahbag got momentum at home and abroad. It was initially it was very spontaneous, but within a week, we have seen from Tetulia to Teknaf throughout the Bangladesh these Gono Jagoron Moncho, they call it, people's uprising, platform for people's uprising. It was set up in every corner of Bangladesh, and the young generation, particularly who are known as the Facebook generation, who were born much later than the war. They don't have any memory, but they have gone through the accounts of the war. They have gone through the different books and accounts depicted in the films. And the movement we launched, that is led by Shahid Jahanar Imam, they claim that we are the product of Jahanar Imam's movement. And now the international community also got very concerned positively, or some countries acted negatively, right? Pakistan or some Muslim countries, Saudi Arabia. But most of the foreign journalists, they came and they praised this movement, that it is basically it is a movement based on ideology. They are not asking anything for their own benefit. It is for the good of the country. It is good for the people, particularly for the victims of the war. So that will ensure justice to the victim of the war. That is the positive aspect of Shahbag. And initially it was supported by the government, it was backed by the government, but later because of the pressure from Jamaat Islami and Hifazat Islam and other fundamentalist Islamic groups, as well as from some international groups also put a strong pressure on Bangladesh government. that they don't appreciate this kind of movement that is chanting capital punishment for the, perpetrators of genocide. So in most of the Western countries, capital punishment has been abolished. But here in our subcontinent and in most of the country, capital punishment is still a part of the judicial system. So until and unless it's a part of the judicial system, and if tribunal gives sentenced capital punishment to any perpetrators of war, genocide or crimes against humanity, so what's wrong in it?
How difficult is it for Bangladesh to keep alive its secular identity?
Well, you see, Bangladesh is the first South Asian country that adopted a secular constitution in 1972. India adopted secularism in its constitution only in 1976, 4 years after Bangladesh. And we fought the liberation war not only for freedom or for a flag or for a national anthem. We had some ideas in our mind, those who led the liberation war. So those ideals are secularism, democracy, socialism, and nationalism. So when the war was over, after the victory, we have adopted a magnificent constitution that enshrined secularism and socialism, democracy, and nationalism as a basic principle of Bangladesh. But again, unfortunately, after the assassination of the founder of Bangladesh, as I said, the pro-Pakistani assumed power, and the we have seen the Islamization and Pakistanization of Bangladesh since 1975. So by this time, they have gained a lot of ground, and but we are fighting, the civil society in Bangladesh. The civil society movement in Bangladesh is very, very vibrant if you compare with India, Pakistan, and other neighboring countries. From the day one, even in Pakistan period, we have seen when Pakistan was created on the basis of religion, of Jinnah's two-nation theory, it was the Bangladeshi civil society that protested against that in 1948 on the basis of language, The Pakistani ruling clique and their collaborators in Bangladesh, they branded this liberation war as a plot of India. It's a conspiracy of India to break up Pakistan. But when we were fighting against the genocide, against the brutality of Pakistan army, and that's why we needed an independent country. And people of Bangladesh, they sacrificed their life for independence. No other nations have paid such a huge price just to liberate their countries. 3 million people, sacrificed their life for freedom. So since then, the secular values are very much in the mind of the Bangladesh. It is in the heart of Bangladesh, and it is nothing alien ideology to Bangladesh. Secularism is very much there in our society, even in India, because India was partitioned only in 47, and Bangladesh was created in 1971. And before 47, it was one country, and secularism derived from the soil of India. If you look back in the Vedic, literature, I have written a number of articles on that it is in Rig Veda you will find the views on secularism or atheism or worldly views that is known written by Brihaspati and preached by the Charvakas, So that is very much in our soil. That is the spirit of the entire Indian subcontinent.
You see, there's a demand, a very violent demand at that, to bring about a Sharia law. Now, so far Sheikh Hasina has withstood this pressure, but will she be able to, considering that elections are just a few months away, will she be able to withstand maybe a few months or maybe a year away, will she be able to withstand this pressure to not bring in a Sharia law?
Well, it is the Jamaat Islami. They are claiming to introduce blasphemy law in Bangladesh. I remember that in 1993, first time the leader of Jamaat Islami, he brought a bill in the parliament, a draft bill in the parliament to enact blasphemy law as of Pakistan, because Pakistan enacted blasphemy law during the period of General Ziaul. So Jamaat Islami also wanted similar law in Bangladesh. But at that time BNP was in power, and BNP didn't consider it. And BNP, it was rejected even by BNP. BNP is known as a rightist party. And even you see, when Jamaat Islami was sharing power with BNP, the same guy who brought that a draft bill in the parliament. Matiur Rahman Nizami, at that time, he was a minister and he was chief of Jamaat Islami, but he didn't bring that bill in the parliament, and because he knew it very well, it will be rejected by the people, it will be rejected by the parliament. So they didn't dare to introduce that law when they were in power. But now, just to create problem for Awami League, they are now trying to enact blasphemy law to punish the infidels, enemy of Islam, and like leaders of Shahbag and people like us. So, but it is not to the temperament of the people of Bangladesh. In Islam, definitely Quran says that if somebody criticized Allah and His Prophet, well, the punishment is up to the Allah. Allah will punish him. It is not to the people or not to any government to punish those who criticize Allah and His prophets or the holy book. So this is very much written in Quran. So when they claim that blasphemy law should be introduced, so they are also opposing the basic tenets of Quran. So that is what we are arguing, and we are writing against it, and I'm quite sure that nobody will dare to introduce blasphemy law in Bangladesh.
Is it possible for Bangladesh to keep religion away from politics?
Well, that is the irony of the history of Bangladesh. As I said, during the last 42 years, most of the time Bangladesh was ruled not by the pro-liberation forces, not by the secularists. Most of the time it was ruled by the defeated forces, those pro-Pakistanis as pro-Islamist. So that is a problem that now country is more or less divided. So even if you look into the electorate process, if you combine the vote of Jamaat and BNP, they enjoyed 35 to 37% of the electoral support. So that's a big problem for us. And they have their friends in abroad also. Pakistan is very much active through ISI. They are pumping huge amount of money as well as arms and other logistics to the Jamaat Islami. And there are many Islamic, underground Islamic militant groups also very much active in Bangladesh. And when Jamaat Islami was sharing power with BNP from 2001 to 2006, we have seen the alarming rise of Islamic militants. But they were defeated. They faced a miserable defeat in 2008 election, and more than 3/4 seats in the parliament, it was won by Awami League and its allies. So that is the positiveness of the people of Bangladesh. People of Bangladesh, they are not fundamentalists, they are not fanatics, and they are not communal. They are very much liberal, though they practice religion. Whatever the faith is, it could be Islam or Hinduism or Buddhism or Christianity. They practice their own faith, but they don't like to see the religion is used or abused to repress other faith, or to rule the country, or to impose one's view on others.
If I was to move away from this subject and talk about the factory tragedy, the Dhaka factory tragedy, now this has really damaged the Made in Bangladesh tag. It's also given a very bad image to the government, which seems to be more keen on profits rather than safety of its workers. Has this been a learning lesson for the Sheikh Hasina government? Have things changed in Bangladesh since the factory tragedy?
Well, if you look into this tragedy of Savar, well, government is not directly responsible for it, but indirectly, well, you can you can blame the government, because they should have put more vigilance on the condition of the working class of Bangladesh. They should have given the trade union rights as well as a right to fight for their rights as well. So that was not done by the government. The garments workers in Bangladesh still they don't have trade union rights, so they are fighting for that. But even the Westerners are also responsible for that. They are jumping for Bangladeshi product. Why? Because of the cheaper price. And that's why they don't ask the garment manufacturer that you have to improve the condition of the workers. So they know everything. They know the poor condition of the workers in Bangladesh, garments workers particularly. So they never paid any attention. They are quite happy to buy our garments in a cheaper price. So now the time has come, now the international community, particularly the human rights organizations and many international organizations, they became very concerned after the tragedy of Safar, and they said that, well, condition of the laborers should be improved and working condition should be guaranteed both by the garment manufacturer as well as by the government. And we are also asking the international community that you must have a vigilance over those garments where industry where you are buying your product. So it is a multi-dimensional effort is needed to improve the condition of the laborers, garments workers, particularly in Bangladesh.
Thank you very much for speaking with us, Mr. Kabir.
Thank you very much. Particularly the intellectual, they have created the list of the intellectuals, and they said they are killing a squad, and particularly the members of Al-Badr, and they picked the top intellectual of Bangladesh, and they were brutally assassinated in different killing fields. So the memory is very fresh, and people of Bangladesh, they know about Jamaat's atrocities during the war, and even recently what they are doing opposing this trial of the war.
The War Crimes Tribunal, both internationally and within, from political parties within Bangladesh itself.
People of Bangladesh, they have witnessed the massacre or the Holocaust of 1971. They have seen how the Jamaat-e-Islami as a party joined, collaborated with Pakistani occupation army, and how they helped Pakistani army junta of Yahya Khan.
Hello and welcome to Bangladesh Today. We have with us Shahriar Kabir, noted Bangladeshi journalist, filmmaker, human rights activist, and author of more than 70 books on communalism, fundamentalism, and Bangladeshi War of Independence. Thank you for speaking with us, Mr. Kabir. I'd like to begin by asking how successful has the War Crimes Tribunal been in dispensing these sentences in the past couple of months? Because, there's been a lot of pressure against
that are mainly responsible for war crimes, crimes against humanity or genocide. So the memory is quite fresh, and everybody in Bangladesh, they know who created Razakar, Al-Badr, Al-Shams. These are the killing squad. It is the Jamaat-e-Islami, they have organized this killing. They have organized the Razakars, Al-Badrs and Al-Shams to kill innocent people who are in favor of the liberation of Bangladesh.